Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday. It's October 17th, 2025. I am Manila Chan. That over there is Ted Rall. You are tuned in to the Ted Manila Information Show, TMI Show for short, because we bring you too much information. We're live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So please be sure to hit the like, the follow, the subscribe, and the share button so you can help the show continue to grow. Ted, today, another big day here in Washington. We're not doing, there's no real story written into our rundown for it today, but worth mentioning, DC is getting another very special guest to the city. I'm super excited. You want to guess who's coming?
The president of Zambia.
I wish.
Okay.
I wish.
I don't know.
Volodymyr Zelensky.
Oh, that's right. And he's wearing a suit this time, I hear.
Is he?
The New York Times
Really?
actually has an article titled "The Designer That Got Zelensky into a Suit."
You're kidding.
I don't kid. I have no humor. Humor is a stranger to me. This is a...
The New York Times wrote a fashion piece about Zelensky.
Mm-hmm, they did.
Real journalism, Ted. I tell you.
Yeah, hard hitting. Well, that's what happens when no one on staff is over 28. But yes.
Well, yeah, fair. So maybe that's why
this is their first
left.
job. You know, the lady who got rid of all the cartooning at the New York Times, literally, she had never had any job. I checked into this.
Wait, what?
Wait. She never worked at Starbucks.
Wait. Are you saying she's like an HR person that got, or like, is this editorial?
She's a Nepo baby. Yeah.
Oh.
She was the daughter of some New York Times editor. And she was Nepo baby. And she had never so much as delivered a newspaper in her life. She never worked on the school paper in college.
And she was in the position to hire and fire?
She literally became the boss of the Week in Review section.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Instantly. So obviously before the age of 30.
Oh, yeah, she was 25.
Oh, my gosh.
And then the New Yorker did something similar. And, the New Yorker is kind of well known for its cartoons. And they hired some Nepo baby for that, too.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Who, by the way, also was not a cartoonist, unlike the previous editor, Robert Mankoff, who was he's the dot guy. He was kind of a cartoonist in his own right, and had no knowledge of cartoons. Actually, she never took a class about them, or
she never sketched one in her life.
She never sketched any.
Never won an art contest in third grade.
She never reviewed them. She didn't teach a class about them.
Well, Ted, this is a trend. Because as we reported last week with Barry Weiss, becoming the head of news, right? Becoming head of TV news and having never worked in television, not even one day as an intern in her life, but she's going to head up CBS News.
John Oliver, apparently, I just saw a bug in the YouTube that showed that he did his whole show about Barry Weiss. And I have to admit, I'm looking forward to watching that. I have a feeling it will be enlightening and amusing.
You think he would actually skewer her, though?
Well, he's not going to. I mean, look, John Oliver makes mistakes. I saw him. He did an entire show talking about how great the anti-SLAPP law is. And, it's not. But,
He also did whole shows about, like fear-mongering COVID and how everybody should get 50 vaccines.
I managed to miss those. Those sound so entertaining, because nothing's more fun than being harangued by a comic about what you should inject into yourself.
Like Stephen Colbert having dancing COVID vaccines. I'm not even kidding. Broadway show style. Like, gee, Ted, I wonder why Colbert got canceled.
Right.
But anyway, back to the Nepo baby thing, like that is the newest trend, Ted. We are too qualified to work in our fields, obviously, because our field of professionalism, the new trend is hire people that have never done it.
Well,
that's how you get new ideas.
And I was going to say, obviously, there's nothing new about nepotism. or really nepo babies. But the
No.
difference is in days of yore. Okay, so a classic cartoon nepo baby would be Robert Crumb's daughter. Robert Crumb had a daughter who became a cartoonist. Okay, but she and obviously she doesn't have like the talent that Robert Crumb had in her whole body that he had in his like fingernail. But the point is that she sat at his side. She watched him draw. She lived and breathed in a family that lived and breathed cartooning as a kid.
Okay.
And so at least she knows about cartoons. Okay. So,
Okay,
I mean, it's old-fashioned nepo babies were kind of like apprentices. They lived.
It's kind of like osmosis, right? Like,
Yeah, it's osmosis. Or like, I mean, like, look, if my kid became a cartoonist or a journalist,
it wouldn't be shocking.
yeah,
people would
he's
be like,
been
"Oh,
around.
okay."
He's been around it a lot, and I talked to him about it a lot. And presumably, obviously, I would have given him a lot of advice.
Or like
These
Tim
are-
Russert's son, Luke, they handed
Right,
him a whole
right.
show on NBC, and
Right, or
they were like, "Oh,
Chris
you're
Wallace,
not like your dad.
or
You're
Chris
not Tim
Wallace.
Russert."
Chris Wallace is a good example.
Yes.
Mike
Yes.
Wallace's son. So,
Right.
So the point is, and obviously Chris Wallace, studied at the
Sure.
at the foot of his notable father. That's not what happens now. Now it's literally just because you worked in the same profession. It would be like if my kid became like a sports writer and doesn't know anything about sports at all, and nor do I. And then he like becomes, and then, well, he's a Rall, so we'll hire him. It's retarded. That's what they do now. I mean, it's nepotism's become
I
even
didn't know
more
that.
privileged than it
You
used
pointed
to be.
out at the LA Times, right? Like the Dr. Xiong,
Yes!
Dr. What's his face?
Dr.
daughter.
Pat-Soon Xiong put his
Yeah.
daughter, who was under 30, and basically she became effectively the managing editor, of the fourth largest paper in the United States. Now,
Why not?
shockingly, this caused resentment in the newsroom. I don't know why, but there you go.
Yeah, so weird. She
And also,
just,
and she didn't seem to be the
she
kind
used
of
to be a
person-
caterer.
And she did exactly. And she didn't seem to be the kind of person who like it's like I always fancy that like if the gods had like put me in a position where I didn't know anything about a topic and somehow I got the job, that I would like make it okay. Well, actually this kind of happened to me. I was offered the cartooning job at ESPN magazine. Now, I told them, because I have a smidge of integrity, I said,
Sure.
I don't know anything about sports. I don't watch sports. I'm really not the right
Okay,
person.
at least you were
and
honest.
I said, I can recommend some cartoonists who live and breathe sports and who would be
Yeah.
great for this. And ultimately, that's the direction they went in. But I said, but they were kind of like, are you sure we really want you? We like your drawing style. And I said, listen, I will do this, but I'll have to be very transparent about the fact that I'm learning about sports while I do this. And I'm going to and I knew that if I got that job, which paid very well, I was going to be like
Yeah, I
suddenly, I would do a deep dive. I was going to talk to all my sports buddies. I was going to watch every night, right? I was going to like make myself a student of this field.
Sure.
That's not what happens here. I mean, like, Pat-Soon Xiong's daughter, basically thought she had all the answers. She didn't ask for any advice from anybody.
Wow. Well, Ted,
And shockingly, the paper's about to close. Oh, who knew?
Oh, well, so, with the New York Times hard-hitting journalism, the man who put Zelensky in a suit? Wow. Pulitzer,
Deep
Ted.
dive.
Pulitzer.
Stop the presses.
Pulitzer. The days
By
of
the way, the
Chris
person who should
Hedges,
have put-
long gone.
The person who should have put Zelensky in a suit should have been his mom when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Going to
when
church.
you,
Oh, wait.
when you go to
He's
important
going to
things,
synagogue.
when you go to important things, wear a suit.
Yes.
Like
When you go to a
meeting
wedding,
the
you
president
wear a
of another
suit.
country, important, wear a suit. And if
Ted,
you
all
didn't
the way down to a wedding. You go to a wedding.
right, you wear a suit.
You wear a suit.
If he didn't get or important interview, like if I'm on the CBS Evening News, I'll wear a suit. Like why would he not know this? And he was razzed in the press over and over for not wearing a suit by people like us, So why would he not? He knows
Right.
that everyone's like, dude, I mean, I know I've shown up not dressed well appropriately for various things. Not for that, not for the suit thing. And it's like, oh, note to self, wear this other thing you're
Right.
supposed to wear, you know?
And his wife, as we can see from her shopping sprees along the Champs-Élysées,
All
spending
financed by you and me.
spending millions of dollars along the Champs-Élysées.
American dollars.
You know, she's well heeled, she's well dressed, she's put together.
Mhm.
Why is she not dressing her man?
Well, that's a good point.
We'll see. We'll see.
Well,
We will see today if the
in
New York
fairness,
Times
she may not
gets
see
this right.
She may not see him, Manila, because he's
Oh,
so short that like it's kind of like he could be home and she could hear him like rustling around like a small
puts
ant,
him up on the shelf like Elf on a shelf.
like a marsupial. But it's like there's some, you ever been in a room that has a mouse and you're like, you hear something like scurrying around?
No, I was in my garage the other day
like that,
and I heard some rustling, and
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, I turned the light on because I went into the freezer, and I heard, and my garage is really tall,
like a chipmunk or something.
Yeah, I was like, oh, and I was like, oh my God, what is it? What is it? Right. So I move very slowly and I back away. And it did occur to me. I was like, holy fuck, is Volodymyr Zelensky?
It could have been.
It could have been.
I looked and by the way, he would have hit you up for millions of dollars in weapons.
He would have. I looked up because Mike Maloof always taught me, like, look up, because the danger is usually hiding above, because
death from above.
He that's what he taught me. He drilled it into my head. Look up, because you would see in your like here, right, in your line of sight.
It's just not our instinct to look up, which is why so many predatory animals leap from, like leopards, leap from tree limbs.
You train to look up. So I looked up, and thank God it wasn't a rat, it wasn't a squirrel, it wasn't a chipmunk. It was a bird that I guess flew into my garage that got trapped like the other day when I
hope you got
the garage door open. It was like acting all erratic and crazy, so I just opened the garage door and then ran back in and shut.
Did he fly? Did he fly out?
Eventually,
or is he still in there?
No, God, no. Anyway,
all right.
It wasn't Zelensky, but that was. Like. So but that's what it must be like for Mrs. Zelensky.
Volodymyr, where are you?
I've got a suit for you. I got a little cute suit for you. But he's like the elf on the shelf. You put him up once in a while for the high holiday.
Technically, the mensch on the bench.
He'd be the mensch on the bench that you only bring out during the high holidays. Because honestly, I from what I heard, she primarily lives in Paris and at their Lake Como house.
Well, where would you rather live? Lake Como, Paris, or the place where the mob is going to come for you and your husband and kill you both sooner rather than later? True.
So in all fairness to her, she probably doesn't see him, so she doesn't dress him. So therefore he shows up to the White House in like khakis or cargo pants and like a hoodie. She might have also taken all his clothes with her.
All of his tracksuits. He's like the 21st century version of Al Sharpton. Even Al Sharpton wears a suit now. Al Sharpton
That's true.
Wears a suit.
Oh my God, Ted, I forgot. You're right. Sharpton. I forgot what he looked like in the 80s and 90s.
I ran into him in court one time in his glory. Remember, he wore the big medal. And
I forgot that was like the look.
He looked like Run DMC, right?
I forgot. Right, he's thin now. He's Ozempic skinny.
It's frightening, yeah.
And in a suit.
Because he's got that. He's lumpy thin, so it's like totally
the skin is like hanging on his face. He lost a lot of weight though. So
he lost a lot of weight all at once. I think he lost that weight pre-Ozempic, didn't he? I think he must have had stomach gastric bypass, right, surgery. I don't know. Because based on the timing, right? That was about 10, maybe 14 years ago.
10, 12-ish years ago that he got skinny.
So
along with Al Roker.
Right.
But anyway, this is such a Friday. This is a Friday show. This is see how this happens. This is
what
a Friday show.
On this show, we never get distracted and go down weird rabbit holes.
But anyway, that's all the excitement. But Trump's what Trump said to the press yesterday about Zelensky coming. Trump, interestingly, pointed out that Zelensky made it clear that he wants to talk about war, not peace.
Yeah, he wants. Yeah, so this is. It's so funny. Zelensky, as usual, not reading the room, says that he wants Tomahawk cruise missiles, and so that he can really fuck up the Russians. And he said, and then that. So here's the part that's hilarious. Again, in today's New York Times, in order to pressure the Russians to negotiate. Okay, so the problem with that, Zelensky, I know we know you watch the show, and we appreciate your donations on Rumble. It's just us getting our own money back, really. But after we've given it to him, but it's like, listen, Putin is negotiating. He's talking to Trump. He called Trump yesterday and talked to talked to Trump for 2 hours. So that's what is called negotiating. Trump
and he's besties with Melania.
Trump wants the peace. Yeah, and he's chilling with Melania. So Putin is negotiating. You're the one who's not negotiating. You're the one who wants to use more missiles. So you want more war. I don't know why. It's not working out well for you. But Zelensky and Netanyahu are kind of both in the same boat. They both are fighting losing wars, but they need them to keep going to stay in power, right?
And not get arrested or...
Yeah, or killed. Yeah, that's what it is.
Or unalive, Ted. The term is unalive.
Oh, and we have an ad, so let me go ahead and do that. Oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
Why am I in the wrong section here? Oh, I see it. Okay, never mind. Okay, did you know that the biggest threat to your retirement is not something that's talked about often? Our increased longevity in America means default retirement accounts like IRAs, 401ks, and TSPs may not suffice. If you have over $100,000 in your retirement account, get instant access to a free 2-minute report from Augusta Precious Metals that reveals the one step you can take to secure your financial future. Text SAFE, that's SAFE, to 35052 today, 35052.
All right. And by the way, the average American lifespan is now, it's gone slightly back up. Ted, this may or may not surprise you. We dipped in 2023.
During the pandemic.
In 2023, because everything, this lags by like a year, obviously, so it would have been 2022. We were dipping to 70.
Well, we lost over 1 million people 76 unexpectedly, right? So
76 was the average in 2023, which means it's the numbers for
different for men and for women, of course.
Yeah, and today we've ticked back up to 78. You men, 75.8 years. Us women, 81.1.
By the way, I don't know if you took note. This is a Manila story, but of the most recent study that came out two weeks ago, that postulates a new, very simple theory about why women live longer than men. It used to be believed it was due to men drive more recklessly.
Yeah.
They hold more dangerous jobs.
We go to the doctors. You soldiers, guys never go.
They become cops, etc. Right? When men eat like shit. Like when you go to the gym, it's all women. So, okay, that's all true. But the new theory is it's simply the chromosome issue. With 2 X chromosomes, women have had the opportunity to go through evolutionary protections over hundreds of thousands of years, and the adaptations for the X chromosome have literally had twice as much chance to develop but men have the X and the Y. So there hasn't been enough to add. So each of them, so the Y and the X are not they're not teaming up together. You see what I'm saying? So like women are basically like the X is it's double X power. You guys have been around, doing the double X lifestyle for like 1 million years or more. Men for 1 million years or more have been kind of like like X and Y, and it's not a hedge thing. It's very interesting.
The Y
is
right, an X that's short one leg, Ted. That's how I remembered it when I learned in like biology or whatever in college.
And the default
granted,
mode,
this is 100 years ago.
And the default mode is female, right? Like the male is kind of like the extra.
Correct. So you lose a leg from the X to become male, and that's why female fetuses just ever so slightly survive, the first 12 weeks to become, that's when you become a fetus.
Yeah, if you look at those colonial graves,
girls survive more because of the closing.
If you look at those, like, died after 3 days, or whatever, usually boys.
Yeah. So that was one of the things. And the other thing that we're learning about now, because this is such a Manila story and a weird, of course, Friday deviate from everything that we planned on talking about, is
we have to get to the walrus.
We do. Joe Rogan is obsessed by this. Is the whole it's a whole science field regarding telomeres. Do you know what telomeres are? So it's on a chromosomal level, and all of within your helix, right? Like your DNA helix, the cells are actually kind of shaped like X's or T's or however you want to say.
Right.
And so when you get down to that cellular level, it's the length of your X, right? Or your T, right? So the length of how long they are. So the shorter your telomeres, the shorter your life expectancy, and the caps. There's little caps at the tops of your X's.
It's like palm reading and your lifeline.
So and so if you have shorter, the shape of your telomeres are shorter,
then
your caps are depleted. Like if you go from a giant sombrero to a tiny little,
we call that the hat of dignity.
That's right. You want a big protective Mexican sombrero, right? Versus like a little yarmulke, right? Like your head's gonna get burnt. Like if you're Stephen Miller's little bald head, you're gonna get burnt with a little yarmulke. You want a big sombrero, so you want a big cap over your X's of your telomeres. And it shows that typically women's telomeres we're naturally born with longer telomeres than you guys. And then you add in the lifestyle. It's not the length
of your telomere though, Manila. It's how you use it.
Well, we also take care of our telomeres, and that's where all this goes in, where you can try to
by the way,
keep
speaking
protecting
of that,
your
that
telomere.
lifespan thing, I bet you know this, but I remember, I think I read it in Stephen Jay Gould, that like for a lot of animals, the number of heartbeats is the same through so for, like a mouse has the same number of heartbeats as a whale or as a human being. Like we'll live a X number of heartbeats, but a mouse, its heart runs a lot faster. So a mouse has a lifespan of maybe a couple of years. And like a whale lives a lot longer, right?
Oh, you're saying the total within its lifespan number of heartbeats.
Exactly.
Oh,
like elephants. Apparently, elephants' hearts beat very slow, and they can live a really long time. Now, this isn't true about like very different animals, like reptiles. That's a whole different bag. Like with the Galapagos.
Maybe this is mammal.
It's mammals, yeah.
It's a mammalian thing. Well, athletes, Ted. I know like athletics is not your jam, but they are the ideal specimen for humans, right? Like physically, right? That they're athletes.
But they live but a lot of them die like not
because
at impressive ages. You don't really hear like about like a lot of like pro athletes who make it to be 99 years old.
No, because of like their drug use and overuse of their bodies or whatever.
Yeah.
But in their prime, they are what we compare our health standards to, right? Like your BMI,
of course.
Their resting heart rate is really, really low. So as a mammal, you want a lower resting heart rate because it means your heart doesn't have to work so hard to pump the blood.
This is why tall people die younger than shorter than like Zelensky type people, because the blood has to pump up higher.
Go up further north.
Your heart works harder when like you're 6'6" than if you're
I thought God was just smiting you guys because you guys had already been blessed with like the height, and so people like you, people pay attention to you, all the in the shorter amount of time. So
I think when you're taller, you have a higher likelihood of surviving. I keep thinking in New York City of all the times I've been like in a crowded subway and I could see over everyone's heads. And New Yorkers tend to be like not that tall because we have a lot of immigrants, right? And a lot of immigrant types are shorter. Anyway, and I'll see something happening sketchy on the other side of the train that no one else can see. I'm like, I'm out. Door opens. I'm gone. Short people are like down here. They can't see shit. I think it's a survival thing.
We're the huddled masses. I'm part of that.
Yeah, you guys are all going to get killed. I'm like, see ya.
That's true. Ted sees everything. So yeah. So all right. So
I could warn you guys, but I'm not going to do that. So
I'll skip the jaws. Let's go straight into the first topic. Like,
all right, let's do it.
We'll race through this with.
I'm reading this one. All right, here we go.
Yeah, you're doing this one.
All right. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton has been indicted on charges of mishandling classified information. Too bad he can't be indicted on mishandling, information about wars. But whatever. A federal grand jury in Maryland indicted him yesterday on 8 counts of transmitting and 10 counts of unlawfully retaining defense information. The FBI's investigation revealed that John Bolton allegedly transmitted top secret information using personal online accounts and retained said documents in his house in direct violation of federal law. That, according to the most dignified member of the Trump administration, FDI Director Kash Patel. Anyone who threatens our national security will be held accountable, he said. According to the Justice Department, the documents contain intel on future attacks, foreign adversaries, and foreign policy relations, as well as information about informants and intelligence on an adversary's leaders. Federal agents searched Bolton's home in Bethesda and his office in D.C. earlier this summer. Prosecutors say that he retained classified records even after the sensitive compartmented information facility, aka SCIF, at his residence was decommissioned following his departure from Trump's first administration back in September of 19. Bolton served as U.S. ambassador to the UN inexplicably during George W. Bush's presidency, and also inexplicably as national security advisor to Trump between 2018 and 2019. Bolton's attorney, Abbe Lowell, denied that her client broke the law. These charges stem from portions of Ambassador Bolton's personal diaries over his 45-year career. Records that are unclassified, shared only with his immediate family and known to the FBI as far back as 2021. She said, hashtag, this is not true. Okay, so personal diaries can absolutely be classified when they draw upon classified information. The former diplomat has become increasingly critical of Trump, arguing that he's unfit. Trump calls Bolton a whack job and one of the dumbest people in government. And that is one of the things that Donald Trump says that I agree with.
Ted,
John Bolton is militantly stupid. And he's one of the chief architects of the Iraq War. And he was a huge messenger on the Iraq War, telling us all that we had to go and kill these Iraqis who had nothing to do with 9/11. Fuck John Bolton. But this is a lot to me. Nailing John Bolton on this, even though I know Trump doesn't care about this issue at all. But for me, this is about it's like getting Al Capone on tax evasion. It's a technicality. The thing is, we should have gotten him on warmongering, but allegedly, that's not against the law, sadly and tragically. It should be.
Didn't they get John Gotti on something really stupid like jaywalking or something? And
they did get him on something stupid. Yeah.
So the same thing. Like, okay, it's his just desserts, and Bolton's side is trying to spin this as this was like a Trump retribution thing.
It was.
It actually wasn't. No, it wasn't. The investigation began under Biden.
That's true.
And the people that I read the whole indictment, like 20 some odd pages.
Honestly, he's fucked.
These are people that were in the Biden DOJ. These are not Trump appointees.
Although there are a lot of people in Biden's world who do not like John Bolton either.
Sure.
He's made opinions. It's great to see that we still have bipartisanship in this country, Manila.
Yes.
Nobody likes John Bolton.
I agree. So this I thought was great, but I think it's a sad spin. But that's really all they have, right? And this morning, right before we came on air, he turned himself in to be like processed and mug. I can't wait to see the mugshot.
I hope it looks like our thumbnail this morning.
I wonder if he
Did you see
combed
the
the
thumbnail?
stash.
Did you see
I
the
did, of course. He did. I saw a recent interview with Bolton. He shortened and trimmed the mustache. I'm kind of disappointed
Do you
because
think
usually it's
that's
a little more wily, like.
Of course, I'm gonna go there. So is he married? And do you think he's an aficionado of cunnilingus? Do you think he like it's a little bit of they call it the walrus tickler.
It's her. Yes, that's her favorite part. It's just the tickler. So look, the indictment
Maybe she's just
names
like,
person
John,
one,
you go
person
away.
two.
Just leave the mustache behind.
Yuck. Look, the indictment doesn't name person one and person two that he shared it with, but it's very likely that it's his wife and his daughter because he created like a family. I'm not going to say Telegram, but he used an unofficial
Signal, WhatsApp,
maybe it's Signal or WhatsApp. Who knows? But it's, I don't know, an encrypted chat app, very likely with his wife and daughter. And while he was the NSA, was actively transmitting classified data to them.
Yes.
For a book, because he already knew, he was planning in advance that he was definitely going to write a book. So he knew.
They all do that.
They all do.
But the point is that, like, when you read, honestly,
this asshole.
I read the indictment too, and I think they've got him dead to rights.
Sure.
It's a tough case for him. They're going to nail his ass, and I think he's going to go to prison.
Fuck him
for a couple of years.
This guy, this dude, like, I have no sympathy for going. Because look,
he's a mass murderer, so fuck him.
God, he was the guy that was doing all the media circuits to rail against Julian Assange, to rail against Edward Snowden. For ultimately, the crime is transmitting data or sharing data. But they did it.
What a fucking hypocrite! Yeah, they did it for whistleblowing.
They did it
and transparency.
For whistleblowing, to protect Americans in America
from their evil, out of
from
control
our own government.
Yeah,
right. He did it with the purpose of a book.
Manila, rules for me, not for thee. Rules for thee, not for me. Right?
What an asshole! And usually, I feel bad for old people, as you know. I even feel bad for Joe Biden. Undergoing his treatment now for his ball cancer. That's what he has, right?
Yeah. I don't think it's ass cancer.
Or pancreas. No, it's ball, right?
It's ball. Yeah.
It's the same thing that Lance Armstrong.
It's prostate.
Prostate. Right. So, Lance Armstrong had testicular cancer. That's why he's the uniballer.
That's right.
Okay.
I
feel bad for Joe.
I assume that when it comes, speaking of athletes, I expect that happened to Lance Armstrong from all the rubbing on from bicycling. That
you get ball cancer?
Yeah, well, you can literally get, absolutely. I mean, think about it. Like, I'm an avid biker.
I don't know.
Well, if you have balls, but even if you, with a vag, I mean, you can scrape, you're on the bike, the seat chafes your junk, right? So if you, like, there are people who have like, ADD, or sorry, OCD. And if they like pick at like one part of their skin over and over and over and over, they can get skin cancer from that. Like, it agitates the cells in your skin. So any kind of repetitive motion against any part of your body.
Well, I don't know.
We'd
be able to test that. We'd be able to test that theory, Ted, because of all the professional bicyclists out there. Is Lance Armstrong the only ball cancerous
professional
biker?
Bicyclists have a higher chance. Yes. Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh yeah. No, that's obvious.
I gotta see that for myself.
If you ride a bike like I do, you know.
I'm not a bicyclist.
I could see that happening to me for sure, and I'm not a pro.
Really?
But I'll do long bike rides, like around Manhattan and stuff.
Yeah, I know you do. Okay, I hadn't ever thought about that, but maybe. I mean, but again, I don't think about it because I don't have balls. So
no, that's true.
But John Bolton, like, what a hypocrite! What an asshole! All of this for a book. But Ted, does that then put his wife and daughter, if they are indeed person one and person two, are they now in harm's way for receiving such data? Because ultimately Julian Assange received the data.
That's true, but he also disseminated it.
That's true, but still, one of the steps was that he received it.
Right. That's right.
So are his wife and daughter in peril for receiving?
I can't think that it would be good for them. Frasmataz says, see, Ted could not do anything like this on Sputnik. Ted Unbound is a bit too sexually charged. Maybe he brings his A game because, after all, this is TMI.
It is TMI.
It is true. It's so fun to be able to just be yourself, and it's not just
let it all hang out.
It's also
balls to the wall.
It's the podcast format, right? I mean, like podcasting isn't radio. It's not buttoned up. It's personal. It's real. It doesn't work if you're a bullshitter. It doesn't work.
Right. Well, look, there's Ted on radio. There's Manila on TV. You can't. Obviously, I'm bound. Not only by certain style of the show, decorum, but then I'm also bound by the FCC.
Yeah, because I mean, Sputnik had terrestrial radio. I don't think everybody's aware of that, but it had stations in Kansas City and Washington D.C.
Right.
So yeah,
I sat at that studio,
Manila, and I've got to be the nudge. It's 38 minutes in, and we still haven't read the second story.
Okay, that's fine. Some of them are not going to be this long. But anyway, John Bolton is a douchebag, and he's getting his just desserts. And I usually have sympathy.
Honestly, if he were shot like a dog, it would be too good for him.
I don't want that. I don't want that either. But I still don't have any sympathy. And Ted, and this is something John Kiriakou could speak to. I think he's dead to rights. They got him dead to rights here, but more than anything, they are going to drain all of his savings.
That's true.
All of the money he thought he was going to make from the book.
Well, not necessarily.
His CNN contract or whoever he's got.
If he's really smart, what he should do, this would be my advice to a friend in that situation, which he's not. But I would say, dude, just plead guilty. Just plead guilty because it's the federal system.
Go for a deal.
They have a sentencing guideline. So have your lawyer negotiate a plea it down as much as you can, but basically
I heard it was like 10 years per count, and he's got 18 counts on him.
Right, but they can negotiate. Get it out of your way, get it done. Don't just stall. Just go do it and be done. Or your other option is go on the lam, flee the country, go hide in Venezuela. Go to Eritrea. By the way, speaking of Venezuela, Manila, we have a family of one of the Venezuelan victims. Indeed, is now saying that one of Trump's victims was a fisherman, and is threatening to sue in American courts to demand that the Trump administration provide any evidence that they were attached to drug running.
I knew it was going to be a fisherman, but it hurts to hear probably a widow coming out and be like, my husband's been a fisherman for 30 years.
That's exactly what she said. Yeah.
Oh.
And by the way,
that's heartbreaking.
Robbie's right. He could go to Israel too.
That's true.
He could become a settler in the West Bank. He'd be perfect there. True. And and the thing is, he's already set for the environment. It's very dusty. The mustache will catch all the dust. Yeah,
that's true.
And it's already sticky and glazed from his wife,
Oh,
and so it'll be all crusty.
If ever there was sex tapes to not leak, I hope the Bolton family sex tapes never leak. Never. I pray to God, please God, if they have them, please keep them locked away.
Keep them to yourself.
Please
keep them
God,
in Al
never let
Gore's
those leak.
lockbox.
Oh my God, please God, not that. No.
We've suffered enough. Maybe that's what Hamas made the hostages watch.
If ever there was a more vile idea, a thought to enter my head. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I know this is Friday. Now we have that thought put into your head. Bolton sex.
That's why we're here. That's why you pay the big bucks to watch the TMI
Bolton
show.
sex.
Don't forget to donate, by the way. We do need your help there.
Yes. All right. We'll go to this next one.
Read. This story is
This
not
one,
interesting, really. So go ahead.
it's not interesting to Ted, but it's interesting to me
All right,
as a former realtor,
do the list.
and I think to millions of people, Ted, who want to remodel their homes, want to buy a home. Okay. So here's the deal. This week, and a lot of people missed this because nobody's reporting on it, President Trump's new tariffs on imported lumber, furniture, and cabinets, in particular, these items, it went into effect, raising fresh concerns over, healthy markets, or markets, I should say, that started getting healthy finally after COVID, are now strained again because
I was going to say we have
so,
2 or 3 consecutive days of substantially falling stocks. Yeah.
Yeah. So markets are starting to respond. So starting this week, imports of softwood lumber and timber now have a 10% tariff attached to them. But the tougher blow comes from home builders and the consumers. Durable goods like kitchen and bathroom cabinets face a 25% levy, up to 30% on upholstered furniture. So if you guys thought you were getting a new couch, before the Super Bowl or like the World Series coming up, you better hurry and buy it because you're about to get 30% tariffs on it. And in 2026, those figures will jump. Cabinet tariffs will double to 50%. So this tariff right now goes into greater effect after the new year. So I guess it's like a tiered level. The move is positioned as a push to shore up U.S. manufacturing. That's what Trump's idea is.
I'm all for that.
So he's saying like pain right now.
We have lots of good furniture makers
but later,
right here in the good old U.S. of A. So
we used to. They don't. Yeah, they don't.
We
seem
still
to
do. Are you kidding? We'll like see. There's like the Amish and Amish influenced furniture makers here in the East Coast, but they ship all over the country, who do amazingly beautiful, simple, straightforward work.
American, like Broyhill is like a name, for example. It does like beautiful furniture, and they just.
It's expensive, but Scott Jordan here in New York does good stuff in Brooklyn.
But these are like manufacturing brands, like Broyhill is what I'm saying, because they do real wood with like dovetailed, drawers. You pull the drawers out.
Well, that shit's expensive. Furniture is expensive.
It's real craftsmanship, right?
Yeah.
So basically, Trump is like tariffing IKEA. Let's just like everything coming from IKEA, basically, right? Like
no problem with that.
So that's what he's doing. So, the White House proclamation says the aim is to, quote, strengthen supply chains and bolster industrial resilience and reduce dependency on foreign sources. But critics argue it's idealistic, especially given the dominance of Canadian lumber, Ted. I didn't know this. The Canadians. Canadian lumber in America's building industry. I didn't know that our homes were built with Canadian wood.
I would rather our Canadian friends get the business than, other countries.
Well, so Canada supplies nearly 85% of softwood lumber used in U.S. construction. I did not know that. 85%. I didn't know it was that high. I knew it was in the high double digits, but not 85%. That's the vast majority of the lumber used to build American houses. Domestic industry watchers note that U.S. sawmills are operating at just 64% capacity, nowhere near prepared to meet the demand that tariffs are meant to replace. Meanwhile, material costs have already been rising. Recent data shows month-over-month growth in construction supply prices, and many developers expect further escalation. For consumers and home buyers,
I don't understand. We have millions, tens of millions of abandoned homes in the United States. You see them when you drive on the highway. You see them on state roads.
Yeah, but they're dilapidated.
You see them in New York City, empty apartments.
They're not the apartments, but the single family homes, the SFRs out there are dilapidated. They need to get repaired.
Why are we building new homes when there are empty homes?
Well, a lot of those homes are tear downs. You still need the lumber at that point. Even if you were able to save the bones, you still need the lumber. But worst off, because I'm still in touch with, my friends in the real estate industry, the hardest part, especially in LA, for example, getting permits, everything's bottlenecked at the municipal level. You have to get permits to build. You have to, all these things cannot get through the city hall. Like you just can't, city hall needs to hurry up and approve. They got to send, all of their inspectors out there to each property, and it just takes forever. So there's a shortage there. So the dilapidated houses that you see that could theoretically be refurbed, we don't even have like the right people in place at the municipal level to get out there on the ground and pound the pavement to say this house is a tear down, like mark this one up. All right, let's go to this house. Okay, this house can be saved. We don't even have like the infrastructure in place to do that. So for consumers and home buyers, the impact may be immediate. Furniture prices are climbing. Cabinets and fixtures that were once modest upgrades would now carry premium price tags. Sellers might face tougher margins on staging homes or even pull back any upgrades of their properties altogether. New homeowners, Ted types so loudly, I'm going to mute him. New sellers might face tougher margins on those staging, and so that kind of goes a long ways to present, when you're trying to sell. New homeowners could end up paying significantly more to outfit those brand new homes, not just, you build the structure, but then you have to put cabinets in and you have to build all the other, the interior stuff. Economists warn that this tariff move runs counter to stated goals around inflation and affordable housing, and materials get costlier, building slows, supply tightens, and prices climb, even without interest rates changing. Some analysts argue the policy may actually undercut home ownership by raising the cost of new builds. Supporters of the tariff, however, call this push long overdue. The U.S. Lumber Coalition says that holding Canadian industry accountable for unfair practice is overdue. They argue U.S. firms deserve better footing in their own domestic market. As of now, the housing market was already battling sluggish sales, tight inventory, and high borrowing costs. These new tariffs threaten to add another layer of friction, possibly slowing construction and stalling what little momentum has remained from, the COVID era. So while the tariff is meant to protect American jobs, many say it might backfire. It can actually push up the cost for buyers, stifling any growth in that sector. The true test will come in how the market and manufacturers and consumers actually respond once all these tariffs, the dust settles, and I guess we'll have to see in the new year, Ted. So anybody, good thing for me anyway that I was able to do all of the upgrades during COVID because we were home a lot. I was able to get materials so cheap, and we were able to do, and I was home, and I was watching. I love watching like these home makeover shows. It's COVID, right? Like you're stuck at home, so I watched a lot of these DIY
I like those shows too.
I love those shows. So I was inspired to. I could do that. I could totally remod my powder room. I could do that. Like, I'm going to give myself a budget of $500. Sure enough, I was able to fulfill that in, the downstairs guest powder room. I was able to do that for like $500 or $600. Amazing DIY. Well, those days are long gone. So the trickle down effect here, Ted, is like, let's say I wanted to sell my home, but let's say I hadn't remodeled all the stuff I wanted to during COVID when prices were cheap for materials before the COVID totally hit. And, I noticed early on, maybe because I work in news, I knew that this was going to happen. I bought stuff quickly. And had I not, though, Ted, I would have these like out of date, whatever, bathrooms, my kitchen, whatever. If I'd go to try to sell now, you're not going to pay me a premium price, a better price for my home when I have like, early 2000s facade, like for my house. No matter how great the condition is, no matter how, how I take care of my property, bottom line, you're going to walk in and go, oh, this looks like 1999 in here. Like, no, people aren't going to pay. So it really does like have this in real estate anyway, has this trickle down effect from top to bottom, whether it's somebody like me, a homeowner that just wants to, freshen up their powder room, or all the way down to, the wealthy builders. It's going to cause a housing crunch. I don't think now, I get that he wants to bring manufacturing back to the US. I get that and I appreciate it. But we as a country have not recovered from the housing bust of 2008. We were just starting to recover, and then COVID hit, and then that kind of changed the whole dynamic in a different direction. And then we're 5 years out. As a recovery, we're 2 years out, actually. We haven't recovered from that. And now you're imposing tariffs when that industry hasn't recovered, and people still need places to live. There are shortages. There are houses to be remodeled for people to move into.
I think the shortages are completely artificial, Manila. I think it's like the De Beers diamond cartel. Diamonds aren't really very rare, but the De Beers cartel fakes it and makes them seem rare. It's like
they're uninhabitable. We have the properties.
There are a lot of habitable homes, Manila. Like on the Upper East Side of Manhattan,
them are uninhabitable.
1 out of 4 units is completely habitable, 100 and beautiful and expensive and warehoused and empty. By law, you should not be able to you shouldn't be able to own multiple homes and only live in one. If you own multiple homes, you better be renting those homes out to people. Otherwise, if they're sitting empty, I say the socialist government of the Rallian Republic of Ameristan can take your fucking house away from you and give it to someone who needs it. It's artificial. It's ridiculous. We have 700,000 Americans sleeping outside every night, and God knows how many million couch surfing at their friends' homes. At the same time that there are millions of perfectly up-to-code homes that are sitting empty all the time. Second homes, vacation homes, Airbnbs that are only occupied part of the year. Not to mention these giant hedge funds that are scooping up properties, particularly in areas like Newark, New Jersey.
They should be banned from
and if we got serious as a society about these issues, there'd be no housing crisis. Homes would be a lot more affordable, and the homeless problem would be greatly alleviated. But that's the thing. Well.
Given all of these conditions you just painted, that's why I'm saying that this particular set of tariffs,
it's a Band-Aid, though. Bad. Like it really feels like a Band-Aid
right now. It's just bad right now. I just wish that wasn't happening. Maybe give it another year in your presidency and then apply these lumber tariffs.
Fair,
but not.
I can wait a year because I'm going to be spending the first year of my presidency with a lot of trials of capitalists. And that's going to take a lot of time. Re-education camps, mass deportations.
Yes. All right. Let's get to
the. I don't mean Robbie's type. I mean like the corporate type. They've got to go, and a lot of them are Democrats too. All those guys off to the camps, off to Eritrea.
All right. Fair enough, President Rall.
Here we go.
All right. Let's get to not a fun one. It's
not a fun story. Ace Frehley, the original lead guitarist of the band Kiss, who often performed in white and silver face makeup as the group sold millions of albums during his 2 tenures with it from 1973 to 1982, and then again from 96 to 2002, died yesterday in Morristown, New Jersey at the age of 74. A statement from his family said the cause was a recent fall, but didn't specify where in Morristown he died. I don't really know why that's important. A consummate showman, like all the members of Kiss, Frehley was known for playing guitars rigged with pyrotechnic effects and for his distinctive stage persona. He was known as the Spaceman or Space Ace because of the silver stars on his face. He designed the band's logo with its lightning bolt letters, which of course were the SS. The 2 S's are the same as the SS logo from the Nazis.
Yeah.
That was considered spicy in the 70s. In
right.
World War II,
I don't think that's what he meant.
30 days. That's what he did, though. For sure. The other founding members of Kiss were the guitarist Paul Stanley, of course, the drummer Peter Criss, and bassist Gene Simmons, all of whom are icons and legends. Simmons was hospitalized this month after he crashed his car in Malibu. All 4 are slated to receive Kennedy Center honors in December, courtesy of new Kennedy chairman Donald Trump. Many rock fans initially dismissed Kiss as gimmicky charlatans. Its members weren't photographed without stage makeup until 1983, but the band's energetic and theatrical live shows built a following of teenagers known as the Kiss Army. The band placed 8 singles in the top 40 during Frehley's tenure, and he played on 7 out of 8, including Love Gun, Christine 16, and I Was Made for Loving You. He was absent from the band's biggest hit, Beth, a ballad with orchestral backing that reached number 7 on the Billboard chart in '76. During Frehley's time with Kiss, the band released 11 albums, both studio and live, that went gold or platinum in the U.S. Kiss ultimately sold more than 100 million albums. With the passage of time and the enduring popularity of its party anthem Rock and Roll All Night, the band saw its critical reputation improve, and Kiss was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2014. The guitarist Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine inducted the band, making the case for Kiss's influence on everyone from Metallica to Lady Gaga. Frehley, he said, blazed unforgettable, timeless licks across their greatest records. Frehley himself bragged in an interview last year with the website Antihero that out of the 4 founding members of Kiss, I definitely have been the most successful solo artist. That was true because of his single New York Groove, a top 20 hit with a stomping beat that is now played at Citi Field after every Mets victory. New York Groove was the most successful single from a typically excessive Kiss stunt. In 1978, the 4 members all released solo albums at the same time. Manila, I will basically, I'm a huge aficionado of rock and roll and of glam rock. Now, Kiss, their music is dog shit, objectively. They're just absolutely terrible. But
Rock and Roll All Night is an anthem, though.
But they're no Gary Glitter. There's certainly there's no Mott the Hoople. There's no Ian Hunter. There's certainly no they're no David Bowie. If we're talking about
no.
And they're no Mark Bolan / T-Rex, right? They are not. Those are the kings of glam, and there are others. Wizard, I'm leaving out, and I apologize to those I'm leaving out. Now, that all said, the theatricality was so important and so iconic that you got to. I mean, that's what mattered here, right?
That's marketing, man.
They were like, they put on an amazing show, and the music was an afterthought, and that's okay.
Right.
That's how it was. And to me, he's Ace Frehley's passing needed to be noted. It struck me as bizarre when it wasn't a huge story yesterday when it broke on my phone. It was kind of like, oh, and by the way, there's this guy named Ace Frehley, and he died. You might want to know. It's like, what? I mean, Ace Frehley, he's a
famous
fucking
guitarist,
rock god. Yeah, are you kidding? I mean, and yes, the music was shit, but who cares?
Yeah, this is just like American, whatever. I'm no music critic. You like what you like, and to me, that's all subjective. But definitely, whatever you thought of them, they are rock legends. Like, bottom line, I think these guys really shaped what we see today, even in pop music and rap music. When you go to a concert, before they did this, Ted, there were no pyrotechnics. There weren't like crazy stage, like, you know what I mean? Like the presence.
Well, the makeup thing, certainly.
Yeah. Like, but the whole everything, the whole thing, the whole shebang. When you show up to like a Kiss show, the
kitsch in Kiss was massive. The over the top, bombastic. That's what it and it's true. That was insanely influential.
It's the stuff that you see today was
Who do you think is the best? I mean, obviously, it goes without saying that David Bowie is the best glam rocker. But,
for sure.
But I mean, who else? I mean, I have to say,
that's my fave.
My number 2 would have to be, and I listen to Bowie often. I still do. I have to say, T-Rex, so good.
Glam rock was not my
Well,
thing.
You weren't even born.
That was, but I mean, people still love, people younger than me love the Beatles.
That's the first rock and roll I ever heard was glam rock, right? Because I mean, when T-Rex was at the top of the charts, I was like 10, 11 years old, and punk and new wave only happened later, like when I was 13, 14.
Yeah, punk
15.
and new wave because
That's my shit, really.
my aunt, my mom's youngest siblings were in the house.
But by
with
the way,
me.
Ian Hunter and Mott the Hoople are really forgotten now, and they're gods. You know, they're so good. Their diversity, the soulfulness. You know, they're just like, you know, they did Cleveland Rocks. Bowie wrote all the young
That's what I think.
wrote all the
This
young
is just
dudes
fun
for Mott the Hoople.
This is just fun. That's all. Kiss was like, it's fun. You know what I mean? They weren't, you know, writing lyrics that were going to change the world, right?
Of shit, I think Alice Cooper is a lot better.
That was a show too. And as we said, Ozzy Osbourne earlier this year.
And the music's better too, right? I mean,
you know, like, I mean, I was really sad about Ozzy Osbourne, right? Like, I really,
Sabbath,
really loved.
Sabbath has it going on for sure.
I mean, Sabbath is like a different, like, sure, there was a little bit of a shtick from the look, from the man to the artist on stage. That's a little bit of a shtick, yes. But the music, Sabbath was like, that's music. Like,
yeah, the music's great.
Wow.
But honestly, I gotta say, I think Alice Cooper is underrated. Really.
Yeah, it's good.
People, they got distracted by the theatrics. But the music's really good.
Mascara, the runny mascara.
Yeah.
See, I appreciate this. Their makeup always stayed intact, right? Mm-hmm. I appreciate that about them. Alice Cooper always had like runny, goopy mascara.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That I don't like that. That's one of the things that bug me. Like with Susan Rice.
They weren't that.
Susan Rice has goopy mascara.
They didn't have a long career, but the Sweet. Their star burns bright. Yeah, you do. Ballroom Blitz.
Oh, that's what they're called?
They're called the Sweet, yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah, indeed.
But like it's just like, yeah, this whole shtick here, it's great. It's great. It's great. And kids, ever since then,
74 is a little bit.
Kids.
As a 62-year-old, I never liked hearing that a 74-year-old died.
I know it's not that old. It's younger than the life expectancy, as we just pointed out.
I guess he just basically like got up there and tapped the life expectancy and died.
But what a weird thing to say in the article that like he had a fall and he died somewhere in Morristown.
But it's kind of like, we suspect foul play. Like, they won't say where in Morristown he died. I'm like
why?
Why does that matter?
Right. That causes my spidey senses to go up.
Morristown, New Jersey. But by the way, for people who don't know, Morristown's a very upscale community. It was a headquarter for George Washington's revolutionaries during the war. It's very historical. It's very pretty.
But do you know what I mean, Ted? When you write something in there that should not be in there because you're trying to avoid suspicion, but it actually raises suspicion. So you're like,
totally. Yeah, it's sort of like,
why are you
suddenly I'm thinking about this, and why do I have to think about this? It's very strange.
Or like, why are you telling me? And his death was totally normal somewhere in Morristown.
Right.
What? Like, why are you saying that? Like, okay. But it's kind of sad when you hear that, because we think of him as, in his heyday with the makeup, right? As this strong, virile young man, right? Because in our heads, that's what they look like.
Well, I mean, honestly, he was 74 years old. Lots of people who are 74 are going strong, right? I mean,
for sure. I mean, look at RFK Jr.
Look at the president. He's much older than that, and he's doing.
RFK Jr. is right around that age. Like, he looks great.
By the way, I don't know
Whatever
if
you think of him, he looks great.
Democrats are making themselves look ridiculous. There's a whole talking point right now from Gavin Newsom and all that Donald Trump is like fading physically and mentally. And I'm like, look, Donald Trump is flirting with fascism in a major way, and that's a problem. But don't make shit up. You're the same people who are covering up for Joe Biden. And this is a guy who's like hopscotching across the Middle East and like, and cutting deals with Putin and shit. Give me a fucking break.
Like, come on, we can see. Yeah. We can see through the miracle of sight. Yeah. We can see. Like, that's fine. You can call him all kinds of names, and maybe some of them are justified.
Don't make up ridiculous shit. Yeah.
But don't tell me not to believe my lion eyes. Like, just
Yeah.
You know,
Here we go again,
one of those.
right? But from the other side.
But Ted, oh, right, because they should be the ones to tell us what senility looks like after 4 years of Biden.
Precisely.
Right. So, all right. Last story. So, and this is a short one. And Ted, I feel like you can elucidate me more on this. So this week, in case people kind of missed it, the Supreme Court's conservative majority kind of appeared to, I guess they kind of, you know, when they give comments to the press, Ted, this is why the press wrote this, is that they appeared poised to soon make a ruling to weaken a 1965 Voting Rights Act, this provision that used to require states to consider racial makeup when drawing voting districts, right? So every few years they do the census and then you can redistrict, right? New York had to
every 10 years.
New York had to do a do-over. The courts forced them to do a do-over like 3 times. Like, you guys failed for whatever reason. You had to redraw it 3 times in a row because it kept getting kicked back from the courts.
Well, it is. So, it's complicated. The law is complicated, and it's very subjective, and it really depends which judges you come in front of.
The High Court is weighing a challenge to a 2024 Louisiana congressional map that increased majority Black districts from 1 to 2 out of 6. That change followed a lawsuit alleging the earlier map violated Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act by limiting the voting power of Black constituents, roughly 1/3 of the state's population. In the case now that's before the Supreme Court, a group of self-described non-African American voters contend the redistricting was based too heavily on race. The justices heard arguments last term, but issued a rare order for a re-argument to specifically examine whether the second majority Black district violates the 14th and the 15th Amendments, both enacted after the Civil War to ensure equal legal protections and voting rights regardless of race. So my takeaway from this short article was that non-Black voters, so it could be, I don't know, Asians, whites, Latinos, going before the Supreme Court saying, hey, they want to redistrict my area and make it like all majority Black. We live here too. Our voice, and we don't want to vote the same way the Black voters vote. So you guys are giving too much credence to race. That's basically the argument.
But let's face it. What's likely from the oral arguments, you can kind of get a sense of which direction the court is leaning. And lately, in recent years, you can really tell. It seems pretty likely that the Supremes are going to strike Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act completely, and they're going to get rid of the racial consideration that is in there. At the back of their mind is not really the argument about whether whites are underrepresented. At the back of their minds is sort of a conservative argument that's been kicking around legal circles and politics for probably 30 years, which is that it's been so long since 1965 that what was originally viewed as sort of like a set of emergency measures that were necessary in order to counteract Jim Crow no longer are applicable to the present circumstances, because the conditions of African Americans in the United States has improved significantly since 1965. And these provisions, which were sort of viewed as something that needed to be taken care of at the time, are no longer necessary, and that they're not strictly constitutional or can't be justified under the Constitution. So I think the Supremes, they've already signaled in the past that they were going to be skeptical of this, and they were waiting for a case to come up. And here it is that would give them an opportunity to start trimming away. This is a classic John Roberts kind of approach. So it's going to go away. And the effect of it is that you're going to have the state of Louisiana, with its 1/3 population, probably won't end up with a single district where Blacks are a majority in any district or are able to elect one of their own to Congress. That's going to be true in most states in the South as a result of this.
Robbie's got thoughts.
We may end up with we may end up with just maybe half a dozen or maybe 10 districts throughout all of the states that used to comprise the Confederacy, that except for like Kentucky and Tennessee, but all the deep southern states are going to definitely are going to flip Republican, and it's going to be almost impossible for the Democratic Party going forward to control the House of Representatives. I mean, that's just the political thing. Now, Robbie, and I do want to hear what you have to say about this. Robbie had a great observation yesterday on Deprogram, where he said, why these districts don't make any sense. Like if a state has 13 electoral votes, it should elect 13 congressmen, and everyone in the state should be asked to choose. Like, how there'd be like 4 judges in a position, like vote for any 4. It should be like vote for any 13, or in California, vote for any 45, or in Ohio, vote for any 23.
So many people.
But anyway, I think he's right. I don't think it should be done by district.
I like the idea. I like that idea.
Well, it also makes sense. But anyway.
But but I feel like with California, it's just too many friggin' people, and it would complicate things. We already have 435 congressmen on the Hill.
You already have ranked choice voting with hundreds of candidates. So I don't know how much more complicated it's going to get. But go ahead.
Less. But go ahead, Robbie.
Well, I mean, it's just kind of what we talked about yesterday on Deprogram. 1965 is a long way. A law has changed. 1965, the United States.
Too.
The United States was majority white. That is no longer the case. I mean, we are well on our way to the native white population becoming a minority because of immigration.
That will happen,
The fastest growing demographic are Hispanics. So why should Black constituents, why should their votes matter more than the people who are fresh off the boats from across the river or getting dropped here as anchor babies? I mean, they deserve representation too. I mean, honestly, the racial makeup does not make any sense. So if you're going to have a representative republic that is representative of its population, then you cannot, by definition, elevate one racial group over another. It doesn't matter if it's white, Black, Asian, Martian, Mexican, Russian. No, who cares? It makes no sense. And also, like what I said yesterday, the Constitution really needs to be replaced. It does not work for a continental power that we have with the modern technology that we have as far as transportation and other things like that. It just simply doesn't work. So I think that's the entire idea of congressional districts for a state. The entire reason why they did it was so that way smaller states would be able to have. It was part of the Great Compromise, right? The larger states would be able to have more representation based, on the House of Representatives, whereas the Senate would be separated, and each state would have 2 senators appointed by their legislatures. That's part of the Great Compromise. Well,
which benefits less populous states.
Yeah, of course. And so it doesn't make any sense. The districts make sense for a state race or a local race, but not federal. If you have a population of 1 million like Montana has, however many people want to run for those 2 seats, just put them on a ballot, let the people vote, and do away with the districts. It makes no sense, and that way there's no racial component to it at all. You vote for whoever it is that you want, and that way there's no more gerrymandering. It all goes away. I don't understand this.
Yeah, I don't understand. I
don't
understand the whole redistricting.
Here's the thing about the redistricting too, right? Like, it's literally like, I think like Robbie and Manila and I are fair-minded people, right? We may have a lot of other flaws, but we're fair. And let's just say we were all like all part of trying to figure out the redistricting of a small state like Rhode Island, Delaware. It would be like, it's just sort of like, well, where do you even start? It's so complicated. I mean, like I was saying on Deprogram yesterday, it's some places it really makes sense. It's easy, right? Like where I grew up where in a county with a big city in the middle, suburbs around it, and then farmland around it. And then you move on to the next county. And that's what Ohio's counties are mostly like, with a county seat smacked in the middle. But much of the country isn't like that, right? I mean, and then you end up with these weird fucking voting districts. and like they're all, you're trying to figure out, and also it's partisan people who are in charge of doing this every 10 years, and they're like constantly trying to game the thing for partisan advantage. I don't think it's possible for even fair-minded people to come up with any kind of objective standard for doing this. So how on earth can you turn this over to people who aren't fair-minded?
Well, and Ted, that also, if you were, let's say we continue with this whole 10-year census and redistricting model, what that furthers is this whole consistent, ongoing fucking theme of identity politics. Like you're a Latino or Latina, you got to vote for AOC.
Well, no, I mean, that's true, right? The supposition was, for example, here in the background, and look, that's been the supposition for most of my life as an adult, has been that Black Americans are 90% plus Democratic voters, and that that's been the supposition on the part of Republicans who've tried to cut the Black neighborhoods into slice and dice them out of political power in order not really. I mean, it's not like the Republicans care about denying Blacks representation. They care about denying Democrats representation, right? And
right.
So they're and so they all suppose that. But you're right. The assumption is it's based on that assumption, which is becoming less true. Fortunately, it's less
because
true.
It's the same bullshit that Kamala Harris ran on for those 107 days was you Black men hate Black women.
Yeah, and also you white guys, you owe ladies like me. By the way, did you guys hear about Kamala yesterday on book tour? We talked about
There's
this.
There's several.
Oh,
she's the most competent.
No, she's not competent. She said she was the most qualified person.
I said that the other day. I said we have to play that clip. It was hilarious that forget Hillary Clinton. I mean, whatever we think of Hillary Clinton, on paper, if we're looking at paper resumes.
Hillary Clinton was not the most qualified.
No, but if we're looking between Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris.
Okay, Hillary Clinton is far more qualified on paper than Kamala Harris.
On paper, we're looking on paper.
In other words, like having held positions, right? Now, to me, having held a position is one thing, but it's what you did with the position that really matters.
Sure.
If you only had one, let's say you were only a member, of the state house for 30 years, and then you ran for president, but you were a fucking kick-ass member of the state house. That counts for a lot more than you were Secretary of State and you didn't do shit, right? So but the point is, on paper, these two ladies, I'm sorry, they ain't no LBJ, they ain't no George H.W. Bush, they ain't no Thomas Jefferson. I could go down. There's lots of people LBJ was the Speaker of the Senate. He was vice president. It's
a different standard for girls, Ted.
Right. Well, that's what she said. She said, her qualification was that she was the first woman vice president. That's not a qualification.
It's not a qualification.
It's not even an achievement. It's notable. I don't know what it is. It might be an achievement, but it's not a qualification.
I mean, at the end of the day, I really do hope. Honestly, I think the entire Voting Rights Act should be abolished. I mean, completely. I think that it has done.
A lot of conservatives feel that way. Yeah.
Well, the problem. The country is completely different than what it was back in the 60s. I mean, that's just simply a statement of fact.
Well, it's certainly true that Jim Crow is not around anymore.
Of course not.
There's no poll tax. It is possible for Black people to vote in the Deep South, no problem. So,
on top of that, Bob, I mean, the demographics themselves changed. So if you're saying that Whitey's racist has all the political power, okay, sure, back in the 60s, you can make that argument. Can you make that argument in 2025 when we've had a Black president not once but twice? We had a mixed woman as a vice president under a senile president under the last term, and the fastest growing demographic are Hispanics because of our totally fucked up immigration system.
Well, senile voters are a fast growing demographic now too.
They are, and so What
They need representation.
They do.
whatever we can,
They need addled, confused representation to reflect their own state of mind.
I mean, whatever we can do to try and bring people together and force the political parties to start making arguments. Like, for example, and I know we have to go here soon, but if I was ever going to run for office, if I was ever able to get the support for, and I would make a pitch to Black people saying that the immigration crisis that this country is going through has impacted you more than anyone else, which is an absolute fact. Immigration hurts Black communities more than anyone. That's the case that I would make. We saw that in New York
City. We saw that in New York City 2 years ago when they were piling in.
And so that's the case that I would make to win those votes. And I would go after their votes, not say, hey, you have to vote for me because you owe it to me because I'm a Southern white guy in Montana. No, I would make an economic case saying that our system is screwing you. And running for Congress, the way it is right now, the gerrymandered system, it allows the establishment to be able to clamp down the message I'd be able to bring. Do away with the districting. Make it a statewide race for how many representatives that you have based on state's population, and be done. And that would do such a great thing to break the power of the establishment.
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, Robbie, I do think that's a brilliant idea.
I mean, the system we have right now it worked 250 years ago. The world has changed. You know, in George Washington's day, you couldn't. The farthest that you could travel was the exact same as Caesar's legions could march in Gaul. I mean, that was just that was the technology at the time. You could go faster than a horse. Now we have trains in China that can go 300 miles an hour. If you have this huge continental nation that is incredibly diverse, and the economy is different, the technology is different, the demographics are different, why is it that we can't change the system of government that we have to reflect those changes?
The thing is, I'm looking this up now, right? So as it turns out, there was initially, there's nothing in the Constitution whatsoever that mandated congressional districts. Basically, you just had House reps were just voted for by quote unquote the people of the state. Yeah. And they had and each state had, if they wanted to, it was up to them. Each state individually could have like at-large seats, right?
That's the way that it was.
Small states tended to use at-large seats, but what happened was due to the practical problem of competing, because transportation, even within a large state, was challenging, right? So it would have been hard for a candidate to even, for example, travel all over the state of Georgia, back at that time, because it was a big state, and obviously the transportation infrastructure wasn't so great. Basically, the population exploded between the 1810s and the 1830s, and basically people there started to be multi-member districts, so there was chaos. And then so in 1842, Congress finally 1842, that's pretty far in, they created the Apportionment Act, which mandated single-member districts for all states, and they banned at-large and multi-member setups. In 1872, they reaffirmed it, and then in 1911, which is, I think, also a very strange thing, guys, they set the number at 435 seats. It's permanently. So even if the population of the country keeps increasing, let's say it doubled, we'd still have 435 districts. And that means that like each congressman now has twice as many people, roughly, in order to serve. That might be part of the reason also that Congress has become so much less responsive than they used to be. They just have too many constituents.
Yeah, well, they can't speak for everybody. Anyway, we got to wind this conversation down because we got to go. But obviously it's Friday, so happy weekend to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, make sure you hit the like and the follow button, the subscribe wherever you're tuning into us. That helps us a great deal. And also, you know what? Speaking of the multiculturalism and all of this stuff, on Monday, my son's school is off for a holiday. I've heard of it. Obviously, I know what it is, but it's an official school. Like Robbie's kids get hunting day or whatever off in Montana, which whatever. What do you guys call it, Robbie? What's it
Well,
called?
yesterday was the first day of hunting season. So the first couple of
Hunting
days,
season.
so the first couple of days of hunting season, because so many kids would just play hooky because they're out in the woods, shooting elk or deer, or whatever else. And so they just give the first 2 days of hunting season off because it
Crazy.
starts on Thursday, so Thursday and Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So you have the first 4 days, you're out in the woods,
the kids hunt. Okay,
Yeah.
so on Monday, my kid is getting Diwali.
What's a Diwali?
I guess it's an
Indian.
Indian.
It's an Indian holiday where they throw colored dyes at each other.
I think
Oh.
so. I'm not sure.
Oh,
We don't have that many Indian kids.
Are we in
Here.
India now? There was a big controversy here because
We get Diwali off.
at our school's high school, they were singing some songs in Swahili.
Okay, well,
because
but at the top of the month, my son's school got Yom Kippur off. So I mean, all right. So there we are. Anyway, that's it.
APAC owns DC, so I can see that.
Yeah, but Diwali, go figure.
Happy
Diwali.
Here's
Happy
big
Diwali.
backlash.
We'll be back on. We'll be working Diwali.
See y'all.
No more
Monday.
talking, Robbie.
Yeah.
Just sharing Diwali.
Bye.
We'll be back on Diwali. Adios, amigos.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye, Manila. Bye, Robbie.
Bye, all.
Bye.